I'm out here just trying to get ready for a camp out and have a wonderful time. Thank you, everybody who came out to the Ham Radio Crash Course camp out that we did this past weekend. But I haven't been able to talk about this Meshcore thing in a while. So I'm going to catch you up with the TLDW right now. Andy Kirby applied for the trademark of Meshcore, which he's not a creator of. He doesn't make the firmware. He's not a part of that development team. He made a UI, one way of interfacing Meshtastic devices, and provided a lot of information and publicized it and got the word out, all that good stuff. But he's not a part of the original development team, nor is he involved in the coding of that firmware package at all. But he went after the trademark, and that's where it sits right now, but there's a lot more to talk about, so let's get started.
It does seem that a certain mesh company out there has decided to sort of, try and enforce trademarks or whatever. I don't really understand.
Now, first things first, I feel it's incredibly important that we make sure we align where we get our information from with this Meshcore takeover. Allegedly, Andy has one of the original websites and the original Discord. And so if you remain in those groups and you go to those websites, you need to switch things over to the meshcore.io Discord. In fact, you should go there if you want all the information on what's going on, because the folks there are very open with it. There are threads, there are different chat rooms that you can go follow what's going on. I will drop the rest of the links you should be looking at, including the GitHub for the source of where information is coming from for all of this stuff. Don't look at any other things that Andy may be posting, to be honest, and just focus on the core team of individuals who's making Meshcore work. And if you want to be in a Discord, make it the meshcore.io one, okay? So we were tipped off to problems in Meshcore land when this blog hit on the 23rd by the site admins over at meshcore.io. And we'll talk about AI in a second towards the later part of the video, but the beginning and the most important issue really at play here is that on the 29th of March, Andy Kirby applied for the Meshcore trademark. He did not tell the development team of this, as mentioned, and all attempts to discuss it with Andy have fallen out, and now there is no communication. Allegedly. So there has to be a split. There is meshcore.io Discord, which is the one you should go to, and again, the links that I will put in the video description for where you should be getting information on Meshcore. So where does all of this stem from? Why go and take a trademark? Why do all of this? Why is Andy doing it? Well, he hasn't been forthcoming with the information. In fact, any attempts to discuss this with Andy over on the Discord he runs, Meshcore, has basically been redirected into him suggesting people just focus on growing Meshcore, helping users, and all that other stuff, even though it's been asked many times. Now, a little background is needed here. A couple of years back, Andy Kirby got a cease and desist letter from the holders of the Meshtastic trademark. Allegedly. If you remember back on his channel, he used to be very into Meshtastic, but there were some issues with it in terms of its functionality that he didn't like. Now, mind you, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about Meshtastic and versus Meshcore or anything like that. I have a follow-on video that I've planned where I want to discuss these two platforms as objectively as possible. But just know that one of the reasons why I haven't done much on Meshcore is because of these things that Andy Kirby did years ago, so back in like 2024. Allegedly. Case in point, let me show you. Scott Powell, one of the creators of Meshcore, made a post on his blog called Meshtastic: A Dead End. And in that blog, Scott talks about how he had issues working with the Meshtastic team in creating an update or something along those lines. That's not really what this video is about, but it's the comment section that's really important. Because if you scroll down further and further, deeper and deeper, you get to a post made by one Andy Kirby, allegedly, on November 4th, 2024. And in that, Andy writes, "Andy here, I do think lessons should be learned here. I myself have experienced the heavy-handed approach on the whole trademark thing on a map we were involved with last year." This is talking about a Meshtastic app update for their UI. He received a really stone-cold legal letter with no other correspondence prior. Really, I'm paraphrasing because there's a bit of sentence structure issues there. Other correspondence prior to, and it really took the wind out of my sails as an early adopter and keen promoter of the project. What he's talking about was a cease and desist letter that was sent to Andy, basically telling him, hey, stop trying to profit off of the trademark, because the creators of Meshtastic own the trademark for Meshtastic. Allegedly. When that happened, realizing, again, speculating, realizing he couldn't make money off of it, he jumped off of Meshtastic and began pushing Meshcore. And that's where we are today. His last comment, though, is telling. Treat people like people. Not everyone is out to screw you over. I think a bit of old-fashioned communication wouldn't go amiss sometimes. That's really ironic, since that's exactly what he's doing here. He's learned that he needs to control the trademark for something popular so he can profit off of it, and that's what he's done. He's trying to snake the trademark out from under the creators of Meshcore by saying he's a creator of Meshcore, and he's doing a trademark grab to make that possible. Allegedly. This is one of the really important reasons that open source software is fantastic and everybody should engage in open source and forking different projects, but there is some control that still needs to be held by the creators unless they see their dream be pulled away from them, case in point, like a trademark grab. For reference, this is the Meshtastic license and trademarking rules. I'm not going to get into this with all of you, but I will link it in the video description so you can check it out, or just search Meshtastic licensing. And you can see that there's a vast difference with this GPL, the GNU license that Meshtastic is using, versus what's shown on the Meshcore website, which is the question, there are projects built around Meshcore? You can see that Meshtastic took a little bit more time in working some of the license and trademarking, which helps to make sure that they protect the vision of what Meshtastic is trying to do, versus just kind of an open door policy, which this MIT license provides with regards to not just the firmware that runs on some of the devices, but the mobile applications, the map tools, analysis tools, and all that else. They could quickly see Meshcore pulled from them as they change some of the fundamental designs of the software and the different platforms it runs on. Now, sadly, at this time, the trademark is still up in the air, although the application was submitted by Andy, and it seems like it's fairly open and shut in that regard. I'm sure that the folks over at Meshcore, the actual creators of it, are trying to pursue how they get it back or protest it being given to Andy at all. There is a thread off of the general chat on the meshcore.io page that talks a little bit about it. And to be honest, looking at it, it looks a little bleak, and I'm really sorry to see that. Going so far as maybe they have to change their name, or they're going to have to go through some interesting ways of getting it back. It's tough all around. But let's talk about the AI issue. Back to the blog post from the Meshcore team, there was mention of vibe coding. Now, vibe coding is a term that I guess not everybody knows, and if you're not doing it, then you probably don't have a whole lot of reason to to really understand the nuances there. But vibe coding is using an AI tool to create actual code based off of the prompts you feed into AI. And yes, there are some incredibly robust prompts that people make to generate functioning applications. It's happening all the time. In fact, we are seeing an influx of what we would call vibe-coded software in the Hammerdio Crash Course Discord. So what's the problem here? Well, nothing if everybody does things in a responsible, knowing way. The problem is that anyone can create these software applications using AI tools. The issue therein lies is these people don't understand what this code actually is doing. If a developer uses an AI tool to generate an application and they don't understand what the code is doing, that is, by definition, vibe coding. They're pushing out something that they don't fully understand how it works to users that may be impacted by their own ignorance. They don't know that the developer doesn't know all the little backdoor deals that are going on within that application. Do I think AIs are doing anything nefarious? No. But for everybody that worries that there's additional hardware in a Baofeng that's listening to you and giving your information to China, I'd be way more worried about AI slop than I would be that. So keep that in mind. You literally don't know what the AI is doing because you're not a software developer. If you don't develop software, you don't understand software design, you don't understand software test. There are so many things that could go wrong with the corner cases of the user experience. And by corner case, we're talking about a random thing, a small thing that a user could expose themselves to that could crash a program or lead them into a horrible situation of losing personal information, which again, I don't think is happening intentionally, but definitely could happen. So back on the blog, when it was mentioned AI-generated Meshcore firmware, everybody resoundingly said, no, of course not. And to a user base When asked, do you have the right to know if your software you're using or buying is vibe coded? Again, majority says yes, of course, because yeah, of course. Andy Kirby used vibe coding techniques, because he's not a software developer, to create MeshOS. That's the claim that's being made here. Allegedly, by the Meshcore.io team. And again, I'm going to use that as the creators of Meshcore. Scott in particular, right, is definitely one of the creators. So keep in mind when you're using things like MeshOS, or you're paying somebody for software that has been free from both Meshcore and other mesh applications and mesh firmwares, you got to question, what's this all about? And the answer is, it's trying to make money on it. Allegedly.
It does seem that a certain mesh company out there has decided to sort of, try and enforce trademarks or whatever. I don't really understand.
And from my personal feeling, allegedly, I think he is trying to cut corners in having to develop something with his own blood, sweat, and tears and just take over somebody's hard work here. That's really what this screams of, is that Andy is muscled his way through publicity of his YouTube channel to take over something that a lot of people work their asses off to bring up into a functioning state, and he's profiting off of it, which frankly disgusts me. And so that's one of the reasons why I haven't made many Meshcore videos, because I didn't see this exact thing happening, but he definitely gave me the vibes like he was just out there chasing the dollars. Allegedly. And it's almost as though there's some kind of a history that we could draw from. This is the customer reviews from Kirby Bike, which is currently sitting at a 2.2 rating of poor. And every review for the past, last couple of years when they were taking reviews or so, a day ago, total ripoff, Chinese rebrand. Steve Green, 7 days ago, the attitude of the seller sucks. This is from 2006, god awful, and continuing down the list. This is a website that Andy Kirby runs as well, and this is a business that he runs. So we have a history here of somebody that is allegedly ripping people off in the bike community, now in the Meshcore community. And it's really quite sad. Bums me out, particularly for all those hardworking developers that have been involved in Meshcore, which I think is a cool application. I just could smell the warning signs of this coming a mile away. I've got links in the video description for you guys to check out if you're so inclined. Yeah, if you're getting your information on Meshcore, it needs to be in the right place, and the links are in the video description, and the blog has also more of those links. Get them from the trusted source of the creators of Meshcore and nowhere else. Thank you. I'm Josh KI6NAZ 70. As I wrapped up the recording of this video, I realized something that hit me. While Andy has probably successfully made a power grab for the trademark of Meshcore, I think the community and everybody that finds out about this has become 100% against him, and he's lost all credibility in the space. And so I think for the Meshcore.io folks, just rebrand it. Rebrand it. We'll let everybody know. I'm sure you're going to have no problem letting everybody know. He's going to get stuck with firmware that he can't really use. You guys probably need to tighten things up a little bit. Consider the GNU license. But yeah, I think you can make it through because you got good stuff. Just know that stuff like this that's that public has a way of getting all around the internet, and we're already all talking about this. So good luck to the development team, and for all the users out there. Again, get your sources and your applications from the right source, and make sure what those sources are. Thanks.